over the time that we've been on, but for the most part, we try to give out accurate information and keep you informed as to what's going on with St. Mary's hockey. So tonight, I was going to ask my co-host who informed me about an hour ago that he wasn't going to make the show. Uh, they're still practicing. I know our games have stopped. They're over. We had a good season. Won and loss record is not what we look at. We look at where the boys have come from the beginning of camp until now. They get to go out every day, continue practicing, and now they're into some weightlifting stuff after the practices. It's really interesting for those who have followed us from the inception how the boys have developed. Some of the boys have gotten much faster on their skates. They've learned a lot this year. They've become competitive and cohesive, which is what you're after. And to get to the next level, they have to continue their training. Now, that being said, so they're going to wind down. I believe their last practices will be the end of this month, maybe a week into May. But we're coming down to the short days. But we have some good news. The news being that Alex Gano has been offered to play back in the East Coast League. There was an article done, and I'm just going to read some of it to you. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing. But at New York Apple Core Program, it's back in Brewster, New York. It's a junior team, and he is pretty much committed to go there, and that'll start in August, I believe. Coach Eisler is a friend of Brian Fahey, who is the coach, and they're looking forward to get Alex back there. I know they've talked to him, so that's an opportunity. He is a senior. He will not be with us next year, so he has to figure out what he wants to do moving his hockey career on. So it's a good shot for Alex. Watch his play. I mean, he was outstanding this year. Pretty much could go end to end, pretty much by himself. He kept the team in most of the games. The teams had to double team him that we played against. We're going to miss him, but we got some good players coming in next year. And obviously, you don't like to replace players, but that's part of hockey, and that's what keeps you in the hunt. So, Alex, good luck to you in your future endeavors. We will be keeping an eye on you and informing the local play team as to what's going on. But again, thanks to Alex Gano. He is a senior this year. So then we got Ethan Saldana, who has left this morning to go to Calgary, Alberta, for a camp. He'll be up there the whole weekend, and he will be a senior next year. So he can figure out where he is. That also is a junior team up there. Coach Eisler made the arrangements for him to go there. So he's got an opportunity to see what level he's at today and where he needs to go and to refine his game that much more. So, Alex, have safe travels, and can't wait to hear what you got to say when you come back on Monday. So, again, hats off to you for doing a great job. Now I'm gonna go through a few of the other players that have camp assignments already. Luca Petroni is going to go. I don't know when that is. Maybe May or June. He'll be going to Las Vegas to entertain a camp there. So Luca has come a long way. He's picked up his game quite a bit. He's getting a little bit more on the workout end of it, so he can get a little bit stronger. The coaches are happy with his progress this year, and good luck. And we'll see you back here next year. I know you're coming back for sure. And then we have a kid named Anthony Alvarado, who I'm not familiar with whatsoever, but he is going to Everett Silvertips. They're up in Everett, Washington. And our good friend, if anybody remember Thunder Days, Mike Benton is up there doing the broadcast play-by-play up there. I think you worked with him, Dustin, at some point. No, Dustin's shaking his head no. He was sleeping in the other room. I just woke him up.
I'm a Brandon Kisker guy.
Oh, Brandon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But we'll get to see Mr. Benton. Hopefully, when we go up there, he interviewed Anthony when he was a mite, so he'll be able to see him now at 15 years old. So he's going up there. He's also going to Las Vegas to the select camp, which we've talked about a little bit in the past shows. He is he'll be one of several forwards going there. The camp is the side, the top probably at 12 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders that will move on to the national camp in Buffalo. But it's not going to be an easy task for anybody because they're taking 8 states, I believe, that will all be competing there first part of May. So he's doing that as well.
Buffalo's the host of the Frozen Four this year. It's actually on tonight, the Frozen Four.
That's right.
Yeah.
They are. Somebody just moved on. I didn't see who it was.
Look up this while you talk.
Providence, maybe. We got. He's looking up stuff on the internet, which is fantastic. Also, he's doing the Y Leave program, which is a spring hockey. He's been doing that for, I'm going to say 6-7 years. He'll be in Anaheim, or actually L.A., working with the 03-04 team, and that'll be something more for him to do during the summertime. And we'll be going to Arizona at the Sun Devils camp. So he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. He'll be very busy perfecting his game, getting ready to move into next year. There's also a Y-Leave camp here in Stockton the last week of July, I want to say. They house at UOP. They get up at 6:30 in the morning, breakfast, skating, lunch, skating, dinner, and they're ready to go to bed by 8 or 9 o'clock and start it all over. So that's a 6-day camp run by Derek Eisler. So all these boys are progressing from St. Mary's, and it's great to see that these kids continuing their hockey IQ and staying in shape in the off season, and be ready to hit the ice in August when we resume play for next year. So good luck to all you guys in your off season, and continued success in working on your game. And we do know that we're going to have. We talked about it earlier. I don't know names yet. Wouldn't give them out anyhow, not until we get them signed, sealed, and delivered. But it looks like we're going to have possibly 7 to 8 defensemen next year, where we had like 4, I believe, this year. So the team is going to grow in numbers, which will help the team in the last minutes of games. That they will have hopefully more energy to go out there and do their thing. We were a short team this year. I think we had 15, 1 injured. We had 2 goaltenders. So we had like maybe 12 actual skaters. So it was tough, good endurance for most of the kids to play out there. And it was a long but good season for these guys. They got a lot of ice time. So next year, not so much ice time, but maybe more improved play while they're out there, and that's always good. That being said, I want to get a thing that touched my heart. It was on ESPN Sunday, E60 program, which is a documentary. It was a year ago, April 6th, that the Humboldt Broncos were involved in just a terrible accident up in Saskatchewan. Their whole team was traveling to play in a tournament, and they got blindsided by a in a rural section of Saskatchewan on April 6th, and 29 injured and 16 passed away. Pretty touching story. It was close to my heart because I saw a hockey community come together. It's devastating, first of all, because all our kids at some point or another get on a bus or some transportation to go somewhere, whether it be in hockey or football or baseball. It's quite a tragic thing when it happens. the story, if you folks get to watch it, it's an hour long. It's not really an hour because I think they take a couple commercial breaks, but very dear to most people's hearts. And I'd like to go through and the victims and kind of memorialize them. I mean, these kids were great athletes. It's a junior team, so they were a little bit older, but they weren't ancient. They were in their 20s and below. First off is Tyler Bieber, B-I-E-B-E-R. He was the play-by-play guy for the Broncos. Everybody, there's articles if you get on the internet, will tell you about him. Great people that just succumbed to an accident. I mean, that's what it was. It was an accident, and a lot of people have gone on from there. But he's the first guy we'd like to tell you about, Logan Boulet, B-O-U-L-E-T, 21-year-old. He donated his organs, and I believe he helped 6 people continue life. So you got to tip your hat to a kid like that. I mean, he lost his life, but he gave life to 6 other people. So that's pretty touching, and our prayers go out to that family. Just all kinds of, I mean, out of tragedy comes some blessings, and just really something to talk about. I mean, they had a therapist, an athletic therapist, Dana Bronze. She was 24. She was raised on a farm nearby there, and she was truly a leader and selfless, reliable, and always smiling. So she left her mark on hockey. She was 20. Then we have Mark Cross, who was 27. He was the assistant coach of the Humboldt Broncos. Played in New York University Lions men's hockey team in Toronto. Very kind-hearted, generous, caring, and overall nice person. That came from his cousin. These are people who are just very special. Glenn Dorkson, I believe, always kept the family happy, and he was the coach, I believe. Darcy Hagen. He was a former player at Pierce River in Altoona. Always up. He was always ready for everything, and any one of his players would want to win for him. That was the kind of guy he was. Adam Harold. Adam was the team manager. The young men just looked up to him, and just a very ferocious guy and a great work ethic for the team. Brody Hines, he was a player. He worked for a local radio station there. He was a mid-level professional hockey player, and he also was one of the victims. Logan Hunter, 18, his ever-ready willingness to play games or mini-stick matches with children. Many people thought he was a little bit cocky, but as Billet Mom said, he was very much a young man at home and took care of younger kids. So that was a good thing for him. Joseph Jackson, 20 years old. He was a forward, leading scorer in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Blaine, his former coach at BC, something spectacular about Jackson was that he always had a smile that lit up the room. Then you have Jacob Light, 19, played left wing for the Broncos. His girlfriend says he had a heart of a lion. These young men and women that have perished in this tragedy will be a long time remembered. I know the NHL, when it did happen, had moments of silence throughout the NHL for these individuals. Logan Schatz, Logan was 20. He was the captain of the team for the last 2 years. Not a bad word you could say about that guy, said his friend of Schatz. He was the league's player of the month in February in 2018, earning points in 8 out of 9 games. A good feat for anybody out there. Evan Thomas. Now, if you watch the program, his father gave several speeches. He hit that family very hard. The kid was just a great individual. Couldn't say enough good things about him. His dad, opening day of this year, was asked to speak at their first game. He did it without actually breaking up. I mean, I don't know how he did that, but he said that his son would want the game to continue and for everybody to just go out there and play some good hockey. So that was pretty touching. Parker Tobin, 18, was a goalie in his first season with the Broncos. He's been remembered for both his resilience and intelligence of the game. And let's face it, a goaltender really has to have a lot of intelligence. It's probably, truth be known, that they're probably one of the best athletes on the team. The position, they're out there the whole time. Granted, they're not skating the whole time, but getting up and getting down with all that gear on, getting post to post, getting your angles right, takes a lot of talent to do that. Stephen Wack, 21, was a defenseman who played for 2 seasons. They said he was a gentle giant. So, like I said, those are the people that gave up their lives for hockey, for the love of the game. So, I'd like to, everybody keep those kids and their families in prayers, even though it's been a year. They gave their lives for something that they love to do. So now that we talked about that, we want to talk about the survivors, right? Because those guys are still with us, and they carried on. Got to read through my notes here real quick. Just bear with me. That's Grayson Cameron, 19-year-old forward, can't play hockey again after suffering back injuries, concussion, and eye injury. He had surgery in November to remove metal rods and screws to attempt to improve his mobility. He has become an assistant coach for the Red Deer Optimist Chiefs. Kind of a strange name, Optimist Chiefs. I think that was pretty good. Top-tier AAA hockey team in Alberta Midget Hockey League. Braden Cameron, 21-year-old forward from Saskatchewan, overcame a severe concussion, loss of feeling in one of his arms, neck issues. He also had some cuts on his hands. He has returned to play for the Broncos this season and continues to attend physical therapy. Caleb Dahlgren, 21-year-old forward from Saskatoon, received a skull fracture, a punctured wound to the head, brain injury, 6 broken vertebrae in his back and neck. He also had blood clots in one of his arms. He is still rehabilitating, seeing a neurologist. He will soon be able to play competitive hockey. He attends York University in Toronto full-time and has committed to play for the university's Lions hockey team. So these kids, even though they had some severe issues, they bounced back. They're doing what they have to do to get back on the ice because hockey is their passion, and that's really saying something. Bryce Fisk, 21-year-old defenseman from Saskatoon, suffered a neck fracture, skull fracture, left shoulder fracture, pelvis fracture. Spleen was lacerated. His jaw was broken 4 places. He's missing 2 teeth, and his tongue was severely injured. He still has significant pain in his jaw. He is studying commerce and playing hockey for the Ridgebacks of the University of Ontario Institute of Technology. So, you got to dig down deep inside of you to go rehabilitate yourself and able to play hockey again, because that was their passion. I mean, I can't stress enough on how much these young men have persevered and not given up the dream. That they still have a dream to get there. Morgan Gobel, 19-year-old defenseman from Humboldt, Saskatchewan, had a traumatic brain injury. He sustained multiple fractures, rib fractures, lacerations to the liver, spleen. He's a patient on rehabilitation ward at the city hospital. He's taking part in physical therapy. He is working on balance, sitting and standing on his own, taking a few steps. He is not able to do anything independently, but he survived. I mean, that's it. If you see the pictures of the accident scene, the front part of the bus was just obliterated. There was really no part of the front of the bus. Matthew Komerick, 21-year-old forward from Winnipeg, had a separated shoulder, concussion, cuts to his hand and chin. His spleen was enlarged, his teeth shifted, his jaw was slightly displaced. He has headaches. Also continues to deal with emotional issues as a result of the crash, which is understandable. He joined the Ridgebacks at the University of Ontario Institute of Technology and is studying kinesiology. So tip your hat to these guys that have just putting it in their backside, remembering everything that happened to them and continuing on. A 19-year-old defenseman from Saskatoon, Xavier LaBelle, had brain injury. He was scarring on his face, neck, and hands, several lacerations. He continues to undergo surgery on his face and all the daily challenges of getting back. Who else we got? Lane Machuk, 18-year-old defenseman. Both of his lungs collapsed. He was in a coma for a month. The extent of the recovery of brain is still unknown. Derek Patter, 20-year-old forward from Edmonton, Canada, suffered a bleeding brain. He has returned to play for the Broncos this season. And this one really, last but not least here, Nick Shumlansky, Shumlansky, 21-year-old forward, Tisdale, Saskatchewan, walked away from the crash despite fractured bone behind his ear and lumbar fracture. He has been told that physical injuries to his ear, he won't be able to heal and have a significant effect. He has back spasms, continues to deal with it. He's playing hockey for the University of Prince Edward Island Panthers and Charlottetown PEI. So the kid's got some stuff still going on, but he's out there on the ice of hockey. So you tip your hat to that guy. Tyler Smith, 20-year-old forward from Altoona, had 2 broken ribs. He also had a stroke requiring to take aspirin daily. He is expected to require MRIs. He returned to play for the Broncos for about a month in the fall, but has since decided to step away so he can continue his recovery at home. But these kids' passion to get back to the ice, despite their many, many injuries, is unbelievable. This one here, Ryan Straczynski, 19-year-old defenseman from Altoona, suffered a brain bleed, a concussion with memory loss, cracked right shoulder blade, a collapsed lung. Listen to this. He was paralyzed from the chest down, and the injury is expected to be permanent. This is the cool part. He is playing exhibition sled hockey for a charity game in Calgary in September, and he is hoping to eventually represent Canada at the Winter Olympics. I mean, this kid came from skating on his own to using his hands and arms and sticks to continue his hockey movement, and he's got aspirations for the hockey team and the Olympics. Just unbelievable perseverance from these athletes. Again, if you get a chance, I want to get to the last survivor here. Jason Wasserman, 19-year-old goalie from Humboldt, suffered brain injury, broken shoulder blade, fractured ribs, nasal bone fractures, both lungs collapsed, spinal cord injury resulted in paralysis from the navel down. It's expected to be permanent. He attends psychotherapy 3 times a week to get stronger. His father said in November that Jacob has started to have movement in his hips. He has turned to sled hockey to keep this ice dream alive. Unbelievable, folks. I mean, if you could have half of the will that these young men and women endured in that accident, and to keep focused on what your passion is. I mean, they lost friends and coaches, and just devastating stuff happened to them, but yet they still persevere. I mean, that is amazing. Amazing. And that tells the people that they have the 2 hands, the 2 feet, that whatever you dream is possible. Do not give up on your dream. Continue to go out there and fight for what you're after. Don't let anything stand aside, get in your way, distract you. Stay on your mission, man. That is a great story for what transpired from it. Now buses in Canada you have to wear seatbelts. I don't know. I mean, that would have probably saved. I don't know that it would have saved the ones that passed. However, it may have created less injuries to the ones that survived. It was devastating that the driver, 29 counts of some sort of traffic mayhem, and obviously the 16 that passed. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life. I mean, he wasn't under the influence of anything. He just did not stop. Why he didn't, I don't know. I've read some stuff on it, but he took the blame for what he did. I don't know how much jail time he got, but he's got to live with that for the rest of his life, that he took out 16 people and, injured 10 others that are probably permanently injured. I don't know that most human beings could stand that, but again, he'll persevere and get back on his feet. But so even the people that cause stuff are still human beings, and we have to keep that in mind going forward, that stuff happens in our lives. We don't know why. We question it sometimes, but you have to persevere. You cannot sit down and feel sorry for yourself. Keep what you do in front of you, and keep the drive alive. That being said, thank you for letting me go through that. It was a little lengthy, I know, but I think that is something that we need to share with people and understand that life is very precious. We don't know when your loved one goes out the door that 99 times out of 100 they come back, but that one time, so you never want to leave anybody in a bad mood or any of that stuff, and make every opportunity that you have in life count. I think we take life for granted sometimes, but then when we see something like that, it perks us up to say, hey, we're only here on God's earth for a short time. Even if it's 100 years, that's a short time in the scheme of things. But keep your goals in mind and keep focusing and figure out how to do something and keep working towards it. Do not give up your hope. Like to talk a little bit about our upcoming golf tournament, which is in May, which we're getting close to now, May 19th. We want to get some more people out there. We have 6 or 7 openings left for foursomes. Please get in contact with myself. You can get a hold of me at rick@chasechevrolet.com, rick@chasechevrolet.com. And we do have, it's on the St. Mary's website. We've posted it other places. What we're looking for, there's chances if you don't play golf or you can't, you can be a whole sponsor. You can sponsor your company. Any way that you might and want to donate towards the hockey program at St. Mary's, we're really looking at it. We have to do 2 fundraisers. If this event goes over, as well as our dinner we did early on in the season, this will probably be our 2 big ones. We may do some other little fun stuff in between time next year to raise money. We have to raise, just so everybody knows, we have to raise $10,000 each sports department has to raise their own money to do some of the travel expense and so on and so forth. So please mark it on your calendars. The 19th May, we're at Oakmore Golf Course. We're going to have sign-ups there. If you can't get us to us before at 9 a.m., shotgun start at 10. We're going to have 18 holes of golf. We're going to have gift bags. We have a lunch for you real quick, and we have a dinner at the end. We have some great, I saw some of the door prizes today. We have a friend, I'm going to say his name, Bill Hicks, works for Constellation Winery. We have a 3 Magnum bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon from them, donated. Some other wines. Even I don't know what they're doing with tequila, but they had some there. So he's donated a bunch of stuff, plus a rare, very rare cookbook from. And Bill, I'll probably get this wrong. I believe it was from Gallo. This was something that they did years ago. They're collector's items. Neat stuff that we'll have there at the event. So come out. Donate some money, because that's what we're after. We're after some donations from you, and we'll see you there. We're going to hit this a couple more times before the event. We want to have 12 to 15 foursomes. That would be perfect, because it's a 9-hole course that you play twice from 2 different tee boxes, but it's our own event. There's no other outside people involved. It's just the tournament itself. We have the property for a day. It's going to be a fun time. Get to know some of the hockey players. They will be hopefully playing with some of your foursomes, and just have a great time and enjoy these young men. These young men have come a long way, and we got to help them out. That's what we do, try to help people. We also, quickly touching on another event that we have talked about many times, the Lions All-Star Game. I was lucky enough to be invited to go to their kickoff dinner, which was this Saturday that passed. Both teams were there, the coaching staff. Darren Urbett, I believe is how you say his name. He was the coach of the SaberCats, a local product here of Stockton. It was kind of interesting to listen to him talk, because even though we're hockey, some of the sports stuff ties together. He went through what he had gone, and he actually retired, coached, and he was home getting on his wife's nerves. She said, "You got to go out and do something." He says, "Well, I'll go back to coaching." And he went to, darn it, I can't think of the name. I want to say
Cabrillo College.
Cabrillo College. Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
I know junior college football around Northern California. Yeah.
And Dustin, plug your show real quick before we move
Details with Dustin.
on. Details with Dustin. He'll detail your car.
No,
it's not. No.
I could try my best. I'll take a little money here.
Yeah, it's a sports show, correct?
No, it's sports. It's community evolve. It's basically anything that comes to my mind. Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, because you got a lot of stuff in that mind. Anyhow, getting back to coach, and if you listen to anybody that's kind of made it, he has 4 or 5 Arena Bowl, like their Super Bowl. He won 4 or 5 of them. They disbanded the league. He became unemployed. He went back to coaching. I forget what college he went to prior to what Dustin just told us. And they said, well, we can't pay you any money. He said, not the money you're used to. And he said, well, I'm not in here for the money. I'm in here to coach. I love coaching. And as soon as he said that, I thought of Derek Eisler. Coaches really, unless you make it to the big time or you're in a D1 college, you're not getting paid a lot of money. But the kids, even like basketball and football, usually they go to a school, not for the program partly, but partly the coaching. I mean, that separates a lot of schools from one another. Who's your coach? What are they going to do for me? Are they going to make me a better player? And that's what you have to consider when you go to whatever program you're going to. If you have 2 that are offering you the same thing, what the difference would be the coaching. Where am I going to go? How far can I go with this guy? And does he have connections for me to go to somewhere else? And as I said earlier in the show, that's what Derek Eisler brings to the table. This young man has been involved in hockey since he was probably, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years old. A product of Oakland, California. Unbelievable that he made it to where he has. You can look up his resume. I'm not going to go through it all, but it's pretty intense. But he knows everybody. I said this in a prior show when we were in Minnesota. I couldn't believe it was like you heard of the Pied Piper blowing his horn and all these people following him. Well, that was him. Everybody that I saw, where's Derek Eisler? Have you seen Derek? I said, he's a grown man. I don't have a chance. He doesn't tell me everything he's doing. So, but he is in the building. But the connections that this man has made over his lifetime is amazing. I mean, he's placed these kids already and stuff for their future here at St. Mary's in the inaugural year. And like I have told Jim Brusa and Adam Lecter, it was their idea to come up with a hockey program. No question about it. They came to me for some help, but it was their idea to put a hockey team for St. Mary's. They got the right coach. That's what they did. They got a right coach, and his assistant coach, Zach Lytle, have done wonders with these boys. And the reason to a man on this team, when I interviewed them here on the show, each and every one of them said the same thing. I said, what made you come to St. Mary's? Yes, their scholastics are fantastic. No question about it. Across the board, very good. They came here because of Coach Eisler. They came here to be trained by this man. Now, some of them understood. This is his life. He wants to make young men into men and put them into the hockey positions to where they can become successful if that's what they want to do. And that's what this program has done, even in its first year. So I tip my hat to you, Coach. Continued success. Keep up the hard work. Keep being hard on the boys. As hard as he is on the boys, he's also good with them because he admires them for understanding what he's taught them and moving on in their hockey career. So that's what I got to say about St. Mary's hockey at this point. I do want to bring up a debut. It will be May 9th. Not next show, but the following show. We're gonna go into only one show a month for St. Mary's hockey, just kind of keeping you up. People have signed up who's coming, keep you in that window, so that in August when we fire up, you should know more than I do, because that's a good thing. But we're going to come up with a show. Myself and Roy Morales, who you've seen on this show, and
are you going to get to talk during that show at any time?
Hopefully not this much. I'd like to have somebody balance me a
Because
little
we
bit.
know Roy can talk.
Yeah, oh yeah. Roy's quite the talker. I don't know really what he says, but he talks a lot.
You need a word in it edgewise?
Yeah, I'm gonna let him carry the show, and I'll be his sidekick. But we're gonna do a show called The Car Guys, and what that is, it'll be sponsored by Chase Chevrolet, who we both work for. I came up with the idea, and Roy thought it was a good idea, which he normally doesn't think any of my ideas are good. So, although I think I've done okay with this show. So, Roy, when you're out there, May 9th, mark it in blue on your calendar because that's how he does everything, but then he forgets. But anyhow, he marks it down on his calendar. We're going to be talking about anything to do about the car business. So, if you guys have questions, we're going to interview customers of ours. We're going to bring in financial institutions to talk to you folks about people, the reasons to keep good credit versus bad credit. But even the people have had issues, and I say bad credit, that's probably not a great word to say, but people have had issues in their credit, and probably an easier thing to understand because we've all probably went through it in our life. I mean, you start out as a young person, and we don't realize what credit means. You get your first little credit card with $300 high credit. You're going to school and yada, yada, yada. But the importance of the credit, what it's able for you to do. We're going to have a service guy in here to talk about service. And we're just going to hit everything to do about the car business, how to buy a car. It's getting easier to buy a car because when I first started in 1983, you weren't even born yet, were you, Dustin? He wasn't
Not even close.
Not even close.
No.
Be respectful to this old man.
About 11 years later.
Holy buckets, man. That really makes me old.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a lot of things. Hopefully you guys will have some questions for us. And we'll continue that format until August. And then if folks like that show, we'll figure out a way to keep it on the air.
Yeah.
Plus do this show twice a month.
August should be interesting too because it's hot August nights usually.
Oh yeah. So maybe we'll send you up there with a camera crew.
Okay, send me up to Reno.
Yeah, send you up to Reno.
Paid by Chase Chevrolet.
Oh yeah, $25 a day.
Oh wow, that won't get me in. That won't get me through
You won't
the
be
door.
able to lose much.
Yeah, I don't gamble anyways.
So that's what we're looking at. Again, I want to thank everybody that's been involved. Dustin's been great with us this year. I know he's got other things going on. He works at another radio station. Very important, very big guy. He came out and helped us do some live broadcasts out of Oak Park. So it's been a fun time this year. It's been good experience. We hit a few nerves with some of the teams around, but it's good. That means they're listening, and that's all we care about is listening. But like I said, we really try to get good information to you and not some slanted news or it's just something that we want to do that irritates somebody. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to inform the people about hockey, how to develop young players, and that type of thing and moving on. So I am going to sign off a little bit early tonight because I'm sure you're tired of me talking and I'm pretty tired of talking. So we'll be back on the 25th, I believe. No, 26th, right? 26th, Dustin. That's like the last Thursday of the month, I think.
Let me check real quick.
He's going to check real quick, folks. We're going to kill
26th.
26th.
No, hold on. 25th. Excuse me.
25th.
Yeah,
25th.
we're daylight. Yeah.
25th, 6 o'clock, same time.
Maybe a little preview of Car Talk.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe I'll bring in Roy because he's an acquired taste.
Yeah, do a little maybe 30-minute show.
Yeah.
Talk about a preview of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I like your
Put
attitude.
him a producer hat on.
Yeah. Well,
A teaser, as we call it in the radio.
I wish somebody give me cue cards because I'm I'm lost over here. But anyhow, we'll see you back on the 25th. Maybe give you a little preview of the Car Guys. So until then, keep your skates on the ice. Reach for the stars. Oh, and I want one more thing, Dustin, before we sign off. One more thing. My grandson is cancer-free. Keep your dreams alive. Good night, everybody.